Noodle. I'm Leon, also known as Oliver, and returning with us today we have Jason.
Hey there.
And Josh.
Hello there.
And just to show you all how much we love you, this is actually our second time recording this. The second half of the show will be our first recording, but the computer ate the first half. So we're going to re-record that for you just because we think you're that special. So let's jump straight in. This week we'll be covering the first season of the hit show Attack on Titan. If you haven't seen it, you're either new to anime or living under a rock. So we're going to discuss the entire first season right now. If you have not seen it, go watch it. It's a lot of fun, I guess. It's really good. And you get the feel for the struggle for humanity.
I would say good is the better description. Fun, maybe not so much.
It depends on how much you like seeing these people struggle in vain. So for anyone who is getting 5 minutes into this and needs to be convinced to watch it, does anyone want to give a short synopsis of what the show's about?
Sure, I've got one. You might have to edit this. It'll take a couple takes. It's a little long. I just texted it to you.
I always like prefacing things with, okay, now I'm gonna make things difficult for you.
Yep,
let's do some editing. If it makes you feel any better, I was recording a YouTube episode this morning, and I'm saying the outro that I've said 1 million times, and it took me 4 takes.
Okay,
I'm also like, I want to change one thing. It should be easy, right? So I'm going to go through and I say that one thing, I'm like, or I don't say it, or I say it just completely wrong, even though you had one job kind of thing. I don't know. Anywho,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Attack on Titan takes place about 100 years after the near extinction of the human race. In fear for their lives, the remaining members of humanity took refuge behind a series of 3 walls that formed concentric circles. The source of mankind's fear and the thing that led to their near extinction was something known as Titans, which are large humanoid creatures whose sole purpose seemed to be consuming humans. The story of Attack on Titan follows a group of 3 friends who lose everything and join the military in an attempt to take the fight back to those that took their friends, family, and homes from them.
Woo!
Now we cheer. Yay! Never writing anything again. But there's half a bloopers episode. Right there. That's it.
That was very proficient, and I'm so glad that you were able to do that in 1 take. That was solid, Jason. All right.
Yeah, I should do my day job.
Oh, man. Okay, so I'm going to jump right in and say that I thought Pixis was awesome, because he just threw everything in the face of all of the higher-ups when stuff got real. He's just like, I don't care what you think. I'm going to take your wine, I'm going to ignore your orders, and I'm going to save humanity.
And I'm going to stop pulling punches because this isn't chess.
And I'm going to remove crazy people from power, because they're going to shoot our last, best, only hope.
Yeah, that.
Can we just have a collective, like, that guy should die?
Yeah, I really wish he would have. I really liked Pixis, but when he stopped, what was that guy's name? Orman? Is that right? Am I pronouncing that right?
Kits. His name is Kits.
I was looking at his last name.
I don't know.
Anyway, yeah, when Pixis stops him, my rating of Pixis just skyrocketed.
I'm sure he was drunk at the time, so...
Probably.
The best orders are drunk orders.
I also like how little he cares when he's just like, yeah, we're going to defend a Titan now.
Yeah, this is life. This is my life now.
And being eaten by a Titan wouldn't be so bad if it was a sexy lady Titan.
Hey, spoilers.
I think we're well beyond... Okay, beyond spoilers at this point. Speaking of sexy lady Titans, that's a transition I never thought I'd have to work with. My other favorite character is Reiner. Wasn't he the one who commented on her butt?
Yes,
Okay.
He was. Okay, I wondered where you were going with that.
yeah. No,
her name's Annie.
There's a tie there.
Okay, yeah.
Reiner's just seems like a solid friend.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And he's the kind of guy that will do what he's told unless he feels like it's wrong.
He's the Captain America of the show.
Yeah, definitely. Which is why he's my favorite.
Yeah.
Now, watching it the first time, definitely liked Mikasa. The second time through,
yes.
I mean, she's still awesome, but I got to appreciate other characters more.
Wait a second. Now hold on. Before we get to this Mikasa, I get a turn to tell why Mikasa's my favorite.
Oh,
Okay, that's fine. I'm not dissing her. I still really like the character, but the hype isn't there when rewatching it the second time, so I get to appreciate the other guys.
hashtag Discasa. I'm just throwing that out there. Okay. you are free to indulge.
So I really like Mikasa just for the fact, like, I know that her motives and her drive are fairly simple, but I kind of like that. Just, I don't know. She is a simple character to relate to easily, and you get to enjoy her action scenes rather than being like, oh my gosh, is Eren gonna have an emotional breakdown kind of thing. You're like, no, Mikasa isn't gonna have an emotional breakdown because she's Mikasa. Mikasa Sukasa. Mikasa is awesome Casa. So, anyways, I enjoy Mikasa just because she's pretty BA, running around, killing titans, doing her thing. Okay, that's all I got.
And then she's like, shut up, Eren. Don't move. Seriously, stop this.
The voice of reason. She's like Spock.
I don't know if she's
Sorta.
the voice
Not
of reason,
quite.
as
Never
more
mind.
like she's just frustrated with the fact that the person, her one job is literally the hardest person to protect.
That's fair.
And it's not because, oh no, he's gonna get in this bad he puts himself in all of those situations.
So true.
Yeah, no, but coming back and watching it a second time, she feels really flat.
Fair.
It's just, I don't know. The first time I watched it, she was my favorite character. Hands down, like, inarguably. But now coming back 2 years later and watching it, I'm like, she's good at what she does. She's the best at what she does.
Right.
But, like, I don't know. Like, her character motivation is pretty singular in that it's we've got to
Right.
protect Eren. I don't care what I'm doing, I'm protecting Eren.
Which I definitely agree with the second time around, because you're more focused on those intricate details that you missed the first time around, rather than, oh my gosh, what's going to happen to Eren? Especially after, is it episode 6, whenever you think Eren dies? Especially
Yes.
after then you're kind of like, okay, this is a show where the main character might die. And then he comes back. But, I mean, besides that, whenever you have a character with a single drive, the first time around, like, it makes it easy it makes it one of the most easy characters to relate to, because it doesn't require much other information. But the second time around, for sure, you're going to notice all those other characters because you have enough information to relate with them, I guess. If that makes sense.
I want to skip ahead here real quick and go down that road of what if Eren died, because I think that would have been a cool show. Because you know, you're up until that point, you're like, okay, there's this group of 3 friends, and I'm not really sure which one's like the main character. Like they kind of,
Right.
I mean, it's Eren up until like episode 5, and then like you think he dies. I'm like, oh, I guess it's Mikasa or Armin now.
Yeah, actually, Zach, he was here on, the Death Note episode? Is that right?
Yeah.
He wanted me to mention his first experience watching the show, because he had heard the show was good, hadn't watched it, and then I think he was turned on the TV and Toonami was on one night, and so he caught like the last 10 minutes of an episode, and it happened to be the episode where Eren dies. So he's watching it, he's like, this is kind of cool, they have interesting technology. And then he sees a Titan. He's like, well, what the heck is that thing? Gets over that. And he's trying to figure out, one, what's going on, because he ended up in the middle of episode 5, and also who the main characters were. And so he's leaning towards Eren as the main character, and maybe Armin, because it seems to be, like, best friend. He only has 10 minutes here, so this is really snap judgment. And then I think he saw Mikasa as well, but if I remember that episode right, she's nowhere near them, so he wouldn't have been able to connect those 3 as
She doesn't
main
get much
characters.
screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's off with the elite squad, right?
Yeah.
Or the
But yeah,
rare.
anyway,
Yeah.
someone have echo? Or is that just me?
Well, my fan just fell over.
Okay, it's gone now. Anyway, back to Zach's story. So he was watching it and he sees that Armin's getting picked up by the giant bearded Titan, and at that point he's sure that Eren's the main character because, you know, you're gonna lose your best friend, there's your motivation, and then Eren switches spots with him, and Zach is so confused, he's like, okay, I thought you were the main character, maybe not, and then when Eren gets eaten, he's like, I guess it's you, Blondie. Zach's first interpretation of this was that guy's the main character. Nope. This one?
Yeah,
That one. I don't know anymore.
I think that would have been an interesting path to go down because a lot of shows are afraid to kill off characters,
Right.
and if they are, it's going to be few and far between. But Attack on Titan's kind of known for doing that. But really, especially going back and watching it the second time, you kind of see that it doesn't really happen to people that show up for more than a couple episodes that often.
Right. It's known as the show that kills everyone, and they don't kill anyone important. So, like, of course they killed Aaron's mom. That's a setup for the hero death. But going through it this time, I kept track of how long people that I knew were going to die were on screen. And most of them, like Thomas, few people know who Thomas is. He was the guy that got eaten by the abnormal in episode 5, the one that Aaron went chasing after. He was on Aaron and Armin's squad. But yeah, most of these people, they last 3 to 5 episodes. The only reason Marco is so well known is he made it 9. And, like, I still maintain that this isn't a show that kills off their main characters. Like, you shouldn't compare it to Game of Thrones, or at least I don't think you should.
Oh, no.
I don't watch Game of Thrones, so I don't know how long those characters last. But here, they show up, and then they die. It's,
True.
like,
This isn't a red
half the time
wedding.
they're not even named.
Yeah, this isn't a red wedding.
Yeah, I had to preface that with, I'm not sure, because I don't watch Game of Thrones, and I don't know how long these people are around before they die. I just know that everyone dies on that show.
For those of you who don't watch Game of Thrones, the Red Wedding is a wedding that happens, and it's named that because of the candles that are in the wedding.
Well,
The candles are red.
I believe. Okay, if I can spoiler alert for Game of Thrones, I believe like 13 named characters die in that event.
Yeah.
So
I was trying to give the non-spoiler.
yeah, well, no, that's happening
okay.
now. So
Okay.
if you didn't want to hear that, skip ahead 15 seconds, 10 seconds ago. But also another fun fact: Thomas was from Trost, so he died defending his home. So yay! I picked that one up.
In terms of like on-screen death, though, Attack on Titan is still a really big one because they had over 200 on-screen deaths. Like, even though they're like most of those are minor characters, like it is still pretty gnarly anime as far as that ratio goes.
Yeah, no, you do see a lot of people die. So, like, I'm not saying that that's not the case.
Right.
Like, there are a lot of people that die on screen. It's just, you're introduced to these characters in the first 3 or 4 episodes, and the way it was described to me when I started watching it, I expected to, by the end of the season, have like 3 or 4 of them left. And as you guys know, because you've seen the entirety of season 1, most of them are still there. Like, Annie isn't there, but still is there, kind of. Marco's the only one from the training day episodes that we don't have.
Right. I will say, though, that all the on-screen deaths, what they what they accomplish that a lot of other animes try to grasp but don't really, is that it actually feels like an impossible fight.
Yeah.
Because so many just normal people are just dying, like, left and right. And a lot of anime is like, oh no, we can't do it. And then we'll yell louder. Oh look, we did it! And then so, it actually does feel like it's an impossible fight that they could lose. And I do believe that the author had considered at one point early on to actually let the Titans win, which makes the impossible fight all the more impossible if the authors got it out for you.
I do really like that point. In some animes, or just some stories in general, they'll say, oh, our chances of winning are in the 0.0001%. And in Attack on Titan, they don't really say that, but they show you that.
Yeah.
Like,
you
just get to see it. And you're like, no, there's no way. And especially when you see a lone scout running between buildings and then like 4 Titans behind him. He's so tiny, and it's just like, no, he's gonna die. And there's nothing we can do about it.
That's why there's so many riderless horses. So that is a common theme, I think, especially when they go after like Annie in the forest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean they brought like 3 times as many horses, and then a bunch of people just died anyway, so
Yeah.
that happened. But okay, so some people do actually die though, and I think some of those are noteworthy. Honestly though, I gotta say I didn't know Marco's name until after he died the first time I watched it.
Definitely the same for me. I learned who he was after he was gone.
Yeah, but I think they did a good job with Levi's, I'm gonna say now, old squad. It was the current squad, but like Petra, Eld, and
Yeah.
the white-haired guy who bites his tongue all the time. I should be more researched, I'm sorry. Honestly, I disliked him enough to where I just never even bothered to learn his name. So, but I really liked Petra. She just kind of had an upbeat attitude, and not in the same way that I'm not gonna say her name right. Is it Hanj?
Yeah,
the doctor?
Hanji.
Yeah, Hanji.
Hanji.
Hanji has an upbeat attitude, but in a very much more sadistic way. But Petra's like, it's okay, it'll be alright. Yeah, humanity's dying, but we can do this, guys.
Fun fact, we don't actually know if Hanji is a male or a female.
No.
That's true.
Because in the
No.
manga, they never use a pronoun, and they never address it. So in the anime, they just went with a female voice character, but Hanji could actually be a guy.
Okay,
Yeah, no, in the anime, she's definitely a woman. In the manga, it's supposed to be left up to the reader to determine.
really?
Yeah. Also, same thing for Armin. Less so, because I think it stemmed off of a joke that the writer made, but in the manga, they don't draw him to where you can tell so much. It's definitely not as bad as, or it's not on the same level that Hanji's character is. There, you're definitely supposed to be able to decide, but Armin's is definitely argued. The comment that the writer made was someone asked him who Mikasa's best girlfriend would be, and he chuckled a little bit and then said Armin. And so, like, people weren't sure do you take that as just like him joking, or was Armin always a girl and we just didn't know?
This makes, I think, for an interesting artistic exercise that I think I'd like to see someone do, where the characters in the universe, or in the world, know the gender identity of everyone that they're interacting with, but they're portrayed in such a way that the outside looker, the reader, or the watcher, is not able to make a distinction, and you have to come up with your own theory about where everyone's gender is, and what their gender, maybe identity is. I think that would be an interesting experiment on this thought here, because there've been other animes that have gender non-defined characters, which when we watch Soul Eater, I think that'll eat up a good amount of time figuring out the gender of one of these characters, and it'll be really fun. But I think this is the first instance I've heard of having more than one character like that. So that's a cool, I guess, way for it's like a game for the readers,
Yeah.
that the author's making for them. Not
And
that, yeah.
it's much easier to do in the manga than in the anime, and I think that's why they kind of just
sure.
for the anime and went with it. But yeah, I'm currently either caught up or very close to caught up, and I still don't know on some of them. Like, that being said, Mikasa and Armin are drawn different in the manga, or at least to me. Like, they don't look exactly like, because I watched the anime, then I went to the manga, and Mikasa just looks different, and I can't tell what it is. So, yeah, I don't know. They're drawn a little different. It might just be the color, and I just can't tell. But, yeah, anyway, that's my input there.
I have a question, and I may be jumping the gun
Go for it.
to like a different topic.
That's fine.
But should people read the manga, or should they wait for season 2?
Okay. Oh, that's a good question. Okay.
Real quick, where is everyone? Have you read the manga at all? Are you caught up? Did you
No.
not start?
No. Okay. No. So this is just the anime review, right?
Right.
No,
Just-
I meant you
okay.
guys.
Okay. Don't spoil nothing for me.
Josh has not read the manga. Okay.
Okay, Josh, you haven't touched the manga at all?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I
So,
just wanted to make sure I wasn't going to touch the manga at all. I just wanted to know where everyone stood.
okay. So here is I'm gonna talk you through my thought process here right now, because I'm kind of developing it. When season 1 came out and finished, and not that long afterwards, they made the announcement that it's gonna be 2017 or something like that before the next show is out, I would say, knowing what I know right now, read the manga, absolutely. It's not worth waiting that long when you're on that hype train, especially like when you think about when it came out, there was that hype train that was just so, it was so pervasive in society. And
it outsold One Piece.
But now, but now, I mean, if you can wait a year, like if you just watch season 1 now and you can wait a year, I think it's kind of a toss-up. It's what you prefer.
Okay.
I don't think there's anything that's saying you have to wait right now. Because having read the entirety of what will probably be season 2, I think they're into season 3 now in the manga. Having read,
I would agree with that.
Having read what will be season 2, I'm still excited to see season 2. It'll be good. I really hope they don't take it in a different direction, because there's just so many questions. I mean, they answer one question and you get like 50 more questions. So it's a good read. But if you're like, I don't really like the reading, I would say then just wait. It'll be out in a year. There's tons of good anime that have come out. I think Attack on Titan kind of started a new wave of
for sure.
of just great anime that followed it up behind it. Catch up on that stuff, and you'll definitely have plenty to watch until it comes out. So
if you can't stand it and you have to know more, then yes, definitely read it.
Oh yeah.
That's what happened to me. I finished season 1, and I had to know more. I had to answer the questions, and
sure.
Just a note: you get some of those answered, some of them you don't, and then you get more questions. So you're just gonna get caught up on the manga and be in the same situation. If you absolutely love anime as opposed to manga, then I would recommend waiting. In some ways, I wish I had waited, but like I'm still super excited for season 2 to come out, because I prefer watching it animated to reading it. So like, even though I know to a degree what's going to happen, it's still going to be amazing. So if you can wait and you do prefer the anime, I would recommend waiting if you can. If not, you just have to know the answers, then they're already there. So just go find them.
Okay. They're not all there. I would suggest a 3-to-1 ratio. When you get one question answered, you're gonna get 3 more questions.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I heard then was, if you want to read the manga, you can, but if you think you can wait, Senpai Noodles is here to give you a bi-weekly dose of great anime to watch.
I just love the plugs you get for this show.
I tried.
Oh man, it's like you know something about broadcasting or something. Oh, okay. So yes, we'll be here. We'll watch some shows with you. Come watch them with us.
So, what about favorite dead characters? Did we talk about that yet?
Mine was Petra. And then we got off on.
Really, it wasn't Marco?
I think Marco has the best memorabilia associated with him.
That's right.
I like the jacket that goes right down the middle of his face. So every time you take off your jacket, it splits him in half. But in terms of like, I don't really know much about like him as a character, other than the fact that oh man, he makes John sad when he thinks about him.
John was another character I wanted to talk about though. You mentioned Reiner is like the Captain America. I feel like John is the Iron Man.
I think, he's the Tony Stark for sure.
He is the Tony Stark of Iron Man. Because, like, you know, he's starting off as that character that's like all about me kind of thing, which is pretty realistic for the world that they're living in. And then he, like, I don't know. I felt like Marco's death was really important for that character development. And then he turns into a team player character. I don't know. Okay. I liked his character development quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
As a note, since we're doing Attack on Titan Avengers, Aaron is totally the Hulk. I'm just putting that out there.
Don't make him angry. Titans are my trigger.
Okay.
The sad part is Iron Man and Hulk, or Iron Man, Tony and Bruce are intelligent, and
John and Aaron are not.
We have John and Aaron. Like, the Avengers scientists are now John and Aaron.
Yes.
Oh gosh.
All right, we can explore that more later.
Yeah. So for favorite dead characters, mine, I definitely like Petra. I wish she had been on screen more, because I know that I would have liked her more the longer she was on screen. But just a guy that didn't, make 5 episodes, I think? Oh, 6 episodes. Okay. He was still fairly minor in the ones he was in. His name was Ian. He was in charge of the squad that was protecting Eren during the Trost recovery mission. He's the one that prevented Mikasa from attacking another one of the captains. And the reason I liked him was when Eren had the boulder on his back and was closing the breach, one of his men was captured by a Titan and was in the mouth of a Titan, getting ready to be swallowed. And he pulled him out, saved his life, but lost his own in the process. And that just, to me, that is a leader. So I really liked Ian.
So no one's nominating Grisha for Father of the Year. Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
No? Okay.
Grisha's not dead.
No,
You don't know that.
Well, I mean, I don't know either
I
way.
haven't seen him in 5 years.
He's in the basement, like, knitting or something, I don't know.
He just made it back, yeah.
Oh, it makes me sad that this is our second time recording, because now I'm remembering the predictions that we made. And just you guys, the listeners, just you wait, because we have some really good predictions coming up.
Part 2.
But-
Oh, speaking of Grisha, though. Sorry, I'm totally cutting you off. I'm sorry.
You're good, go for it.
Okay, speaking of Grisha, I do have a theory that isn't covered in part 2. That Mikasa knows how Eren got his Titan powers. So, okay, let me I guess explain. So, in episode 2, 1,
There's 2.
right at the
2.
start.
The one with the bread?
Yes, with the bread.
Okay.
The bread meme. Eren falls asleep on the barge while they're leaving Wall Maria. Is that the outside one? Rose.
Yes.
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 Right.
Mario, Rose, Cena.
Okay, yeah, Maria. So Wall Maria just got trashed, and they're on the boat, and then Eren falls asleep on the barge, and then he has the nightmare about Dad in the woods stabbing him with a needle, and then they wake up, and they're at the scene where they get the bread, Mikasa shoves it in his face, and he wakes up with the key around his neck. So before that, he didn't have the key, and then after that, he did have the key, so it's implied that dream actually happened between those 2 points in time. So it's not a flashback to before the wall fell. It happened during that time period because Grisha took the key with him when he left before the Titans broke through the wall. Which, that's mighty convenient timing. Also, but...
One other thing that leads you to believe that happened in between those 2 points, if you notice, Eren, when his dad's giving him the shot, they show his hand
Yes.
scraping in dirt, and it's got the bandages from when he tried to lift the house off his mom.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So that's... We can kind of narrow down the time frame of when that happened, and I don't believe that Mikasa just straight out just let Eren walk into the woods one night by himself after this. I think she was there, and they found Grisha, and Eren's like, why do you have that giant needle? And Mikasa's like, I'm gonna kill you if you touch him. And Grisha's like, I know you can, because you're Mikasa. But it's okay. It'll make him stronger and make him a Titan. And so I think she knows, if not the direct, ability for him to turn into a Titan, that the fact that that this would be something that would make him stronger. And she might even know that he becomes a Titan, because when they wake up, he's like, I had a dream about my dad. And she's like, it was just a dream. Forget about it. Eat this bread. Live. She shuts him down. She's like, that was a dream. Don't think about it. And then I think she might have an idea that he can become a Titan or something like that. And she's concerned that he's going to get triggered into that state. So there's a lot of points where they're about to go into the military school, and she's like, are you sure you want to do this? And there's a chance where they can leave the military school, and she's like, we should leave and just become farmers. And Eren's like, no, I want to do this. And she's like, why? Stop this. So I think she's aware of how he got his Titan powers.
At least to some degree.
Yeah, I don't see her letting him wander off into the woods when, at that point in time, like, Carla, Aaron's mom, just said, live. Like, your one job now is to live. If it wasn't before, it is now. And Mikasa's like, I gotcha. And then Aaron's like, we're gonna save humanity. She's like, shut up and live.
Right, and the way I interpreted it was Aaron's meeting with his dad was a day after they left Walmaria, maybe 2. Because, I mean, obviously it's between the time that they leave and the bread meme. But, like, refugees were still flowing in. I could see that being 1 to 5 days. So, just depending on if that bread was their first food inside of Walrose.
Right.
Then it was probably the next day or 2.
Well, and it could have been a few days because each wall has a 250-mile length until the next wall. Distance until the next wall. So, to get behind the next wall, they had to travel pretty far.
That's
Granted,
true.
it was by boat, so they probably got there within a week, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so while we were talking about this, I had a thought, and I know that you two know the answer to it because you know who the big titans are, but I just had a thought of what if Grishna is the colossal titan?
Ooh.
I like it.
See, my prediction before I knew was Connie because they were both bald.
No, like, I'm just thinking, like...
I mean, if hair's an indicator, which, with the 2 we've got... I'm just kidding.
Well, but, like, my thought was...
Elf ears, so...
the reason I'm saying that is, you mentioned how convenient is it that Grishna left right as the Titans attacked, and that is a pretty big convenience, but I'm also just thinking of how many people were influenced by Star Wars, which the writer for this was heavily influenced by so many sources, and you can see him in his works. Like, Levi is based off of Rorschach from Watchmen. There's so many characters that are based from other popular American shows and movies. But, like, with how much people are influenced by Star Wars, it wouldn't surprise me if it's gonna be like, Aaron's, Titans are my trigger, Big Titan, no, I am your father. Like, just over the wall. That, or, Aaron's gonna be like, transform into Titan mode in front of his daddy. He's like, Daddy, look what I can do. And then his dad's just like, look what I can do.
I just pictured the Colossal Titan with the Darth Vader mask.
The Colossal Titan peeks over the wall and Aaron's like, it's a Titan! And he's like, hey kid. My son.
Well, oh my gosh. Okay, now it also makes me think of it because where does the Titan spawn whenever it goes to kick in the wall the second time? Right by Aaron, who looks right into its eyes. Aaron. Now I gotta know.
Well, you can read the manga.
Okay.
Sorry, I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah. I was not trying to speak from knowledge of the manga, so that's just...
No,
that comment was not derived from anything in any way.
I'm trying to do this in a mindset that I haven't read the manga yet, so most or all things that I'm saying are not related to manga.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things, too, don't have answers yet. I mean,
that's very true.
Yeah, so I think Mikasa knows how Aaron got his Titan powers, is basically what I'm getting at.
Well, I think Mikasa's a Titan. Or, kind of. I can explain that if you need. I don't think she has the full ability to transform into a Titan, but we see her with special abilities, I guess. So in the first episode, let's see, when Aaron and Mikasa are out collecting firewood, and then they go see the scouts come in, and there's one merchant guy that's talking trash on the scouts, and Aaron hits him in the head with one of the sticks. Mikasa drags him off, and then she throws him 10 to 20 feet across a road, and he hits a wall. And she did that with one hand. Aaron is 10 at that point? So she lifted a 10-year-old male with a backpack full of firewood and threw him 20 feet off the ground with one hand.
Do you even lift, bro?
She does. She obviously does. That on top of the night where Aaron saved her and her parents died, you see her crushing the handle of the knife That one's fairly obvious. But watching it the second time, I noticed that she picked up a 10-year-old and she threw him with one hand. So she also crushes the knife that I believe is just a solid wood handle, but like she shatters it. And also jumps high enough to stab the kidnapper through the back. Like all the way through the back. Like, yeah. No, that'll take some strength. Especially from I don't even know how old she was supposed to be at that time. Like, she's 10 when she throws Aaron.
I believe.
So,
yeah.
8, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know how long they lived together, but younger. And she, stabbed the guy through the back into the heart. Also, this relating to the Titans more than just super strength, because, I don't know, maybe she juices. All of those could be explained by that. But going back to the moment where Aaron's trying to convince her to live, to fight, when the kidnapper's choking Aaron out, she's standing there holding the dagger, or holding the knife, and it's wavering. She does not have any confidence or any will to live, really, at that point. So you see the lightning flash outside, and then you go inside of her skull, and you see her brain, and there's green lightning that goes all over the outside of her brain. And at that point, she then crushes the floorboard beneath her, destroys the handle of the knife, and kills the guy. That lightning was the same color as the lightning that strikes when a human transforms into a Titan.
Right.
Although it was just located there, but they showed the audience that, so I feel like that means something.
Nothing is circumstantial.
I think it's a hint, and I think that she's a failed because so they've established that she gets treated by Grisha. Right. I think that she's a failed experiment in that respect, in that he's either trying to give people the ability to transform into Titans, or like he found that out somehow, or he's trying to give people Titan powers, and if Aaron is the success in that he can turn into a Titan, then Mikasa is the failed experiment where she got some of the strength but not the ability to transform.
Speaking of which...
Go ahead, Josh.
My theory is Grishna is the reason Mikasa's parents died. Because... Because, like we just said, nothing is circumstantial, right? Okay, so they're showing us things for reasons. So, the reason that, Aaron and his dad were gonna go take a trip out into the countryside to see Mikasa wasn't to treat her. No, I believe that just because so happens some random dudes walking out in the middle of the forest come across a family.
No.
I'm thinking Grishna set it up to see if Mikasa would transform. Just
see
saying.
if he could trigger her?
Oh, this is so dark. That's dark. That is so dark. He's like, hey, you, sex brokers. How would you call it? Human traffickers, that's the word. I know where there's some Japanese people that fetch a high price on the market. Why don't you go murder her parents?
I mean, he could either be, like you said, if she's a failed experiment, he could either be doing it to try and test her to see if it'd work, or to get rid of the evidence. All I'm saying.
I'm sure he probably didn't know she was a failed experiment at that point. He's probably...
Sure.
Like you're saying, testing. Oh, that's so dark.
I'm thinking testing. If we're at all correct, I'm thinking he's testing.
Oh, that's so dark. Oh, man, I don't even know what to say to that. That's just... Whew.
Yeah, because, he would just have to tip off the sex traffickers, because, like, of course they'd kill the father. There's no way the father makes it out of there.
Yeah.
That they would only be interested in the mother and probably the girl.
And there's no way
so
her mom's not going to defend them taking her daughter.
Right.
So,
the dad doesn't, like, just get taken away. They're just going to kill him. So,
yep.
Best case, seeing her father get killed would set her Titan ability off. She'd transform, hopefully save her mother, and then Grisha would know that...
Oh, I don't think Grisha cared.
Well, no. I'm saying the best case. Then Grisha would know that it was a success, hopefully have a plan to stop her, and that would be best case.
The other reason that I still think that he did it is because immediately after everything happens, he's just so open and he's like, yeah, we're just gonna adopt her now. Which, I mean, okay, sure, but if you have a failed experiment, where's the first place that you're gonna put it? You're gonna put it right next to you so you can keep an eye on it, see if it, happens into anything.
Did you take your vitamin today? Here, hold this fork. Just trying to tweak the formula,
So why the thing that I don't get though is why is he trying to transform people into Titans?
Okay, so I had an idea on that, but it's completely different than your guys's. Like, Oliver mentioned giving people Titan abilities, and it made it sound like fighting back. My idea was, okay, so let me preface with Mikasa wouldn't be failed, she would be a success, but I don't think he would have been able to know that at the time. Okay, so let's see. In the forest, when Annie's captured, she is able to call out to Titans, right?
Right.
Yes.
And get them to come and then eat her. So I'm thinking that a human transformed into a Titan can appear as a Titan. So they can appear as a Titan and walk among them without any second glance.
They blend
But
in.
yeah, exactly. But I'm thinking that a Titan can do something. Maybe it's a frequency. I'm not sure. But Annie was obviously able to call out to these Titans, and they knew that she wasn't one of them. That's why they went by the humans.
Free
Right?
buffet!
Exactly. And I'm thinking that whatever she did, Eren does involuntarily when he yells. Like, when he's just in his Titan killing rage, he's constantly screaming.
I mean, that's
Eren
anime.
does get
you gotta
attacked by
scream to
Titans.
power up.
Right. But Eren does get attacked by Titans, but I'm really having to piece this thing back together. Wow. Sorry, it's been a while since I went over this. So yeah, Eren, I think, does this whole, like, letting Titans know that he's not one of them on accident, where Annie's able to not do it on purpose, and then she uses that as her escape plan. Assuming all of that was correct, then a human transformed into a Titan can walk among Titans without being noticed as not one of them. My idea was that Grisha was experimenting on children, because you don't experiment on adults in anime. You have to make the children have powers. So he was experimenting on children, or maybe just Mikasa. As far as we know, just Mikasa.
Unless it's Annie.
Oh.
Oh.
But I was thinking that he was trying to take elements of this Titan transformation and apply them to a human. So they would stay human, and everything about them would be human. But he could take this one part that Titans don't see you as human and apply that to humans. And if he could do that, then humans could go out and live in the entirety of the world and just try to not get stepped on. But that would be their only worry.
Okay, if that's true, then Mikasa's not
Awesome? No, they don't see her.
Yeah, my initial reaction is that Mikasa's really not that great because they don't see her. But then I do remember that she did get first in her class, though, so she's still legitimately better than everyone else.
Yeah,
But the fact that she doesn't die is not to her credit.
Right. So she's amazing, but with this prediction, she's not as amazing as we think.
With that prediction, though, now we have to think, has a Titan ever attempted to attack Mikasa?
The closest I can remember is the one with that pomegranate, and if you guys know what the pomegranate means, please tell me, because I still can't figure it out. When Mikasa basically gave up, and then Eren comes in to save her, the closest I can think is that one, but I don't think he reaches for her, he just walks towards her. Or no, she dodges involuntarily once, and I don't remember if he was stepping or reaching or what.
Well, and I don't think Titans don't try to step on people, do they? They don't try to crush people.
No, they just try to eat people.
Yeah.
Unless maybe his plan was to step on her, then pick her up and eat her, but I don't think that's ever happened. They've always reached for people, haven't they?
They usually reach. It could have been an abnormal. If it was, then it wasn't.
No, they do kick people, because everyone remembers my favorite Titan, the one where he's running down the alley.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And my favorite character, Death.
Wait,
and he just
I thought that was a small Titan, though.
No, that was a
he was an
10 meter
abnormal,
class.
though. He was an abnormal, though.
Oh, was he an abnormal?
Believe so.
Because he was ignoring all of them. The one that they couldn't catch up to, but Mikasa caught and then killed and found out that the
No,
people were blocking the gate.
Nope. This one was baby one.
Oh.
Yeah, this one had like a big baby face. Not the abnormal that ate Eren's squad or his.
No, not him.
Oh, okay, a different one.
Who killed the Titan, or did it die? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I just remember the GIF.
There is a possibility that they might kick people.
If you're talking about the one I think you're talking about, Josh, I'm pretty sure that one was an abnormal.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking too. But if they don't kick people, that's a pretty strong case that they were ignoring Mikasa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or that one was an abnormal. I don't know. It gets punched in the face and then it dies.
That's true. Oh yeah, that's how it dies. Aaron busts through the wall.
Yeah, Aaron.
Yeah.
Aaron saves
Yeah.
her. I don't know, but there is that'd be something to go back and watch for.
Right.
I think it's one. It might be like the Green Lightning thing, where it's like it's a hint that's there for you if you're looking for it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's probably not something you pick up on the first time. So yeah, Mikasa might just be gliding by, literally and figuratively, while everyone's like actively trying to stay alive. She just like thinks she has to, but no one's really paying attention to her.
Yeah,
But that doesn't make people like Annie any less dangerous to her.
True.
So
very true.
anywho,
Um,
that's a thought.
So,
Go ahead.
do you guys know what the pomegranate was? Was that supposed to mean something? It was on the ground when Mikasa was giving up, and then like she stared at it, and there were a couple flashes towards it, and the sun hit it, and then she didn't give up. And
I didn't.
aside from that one scene, I can't remember it
didn't.
showing up again.
I didn't think it was a pomegranate. I thought it was a piece of flesh. Because isn't that what the Titan's flesh, like chunks of flesh, look like?
I think it was a pomegranate, but I don't remember.
I thought it was a pomegranate. If you know, but please tell us.
Okay, well, I have two theories about that then.
Okay.
If it's Titan flesh, then she's like, oh right, these things can be killed. Let's do this. My other theory about the pomegranate is a very much a film class answer.
Okay.
So, pomegranates, I think there's a few things you can associate with them. There's some theory that they're the forbidden fruit from the Bible that gave humanity original sin,
Okay.
or during the act of consuming it. So, I don't really see that as a motivating factor. That's just an idea.
Okay.
But the
It's
other,
more than I had.
yeah, the other two would be that I'm gonna sound. I don't even know if I want to say it. Okay, well, for one, the juice of this is not the one I'm debating about talking about. The juice of it can be resembling of blood. It's
Okay.
it's very much a blood colored fruit, and
Right.
and so that's kind of representative of her bleeding out there, and she's not just a piece of fruit. She's a person. She has a will to live, whereas the pomegranate is just meant to be consumed.
Okay.
So that might be a motivating factor. And then the third one, which I'm just gonna put it out there, there might be some female anatomically related imagery with a pomegranate. And so that might be her like rebirth into the battle. And so she's like, okay, I'm down, I'm knocked out, the great Mikasa has fallen, and now she is gonna rise up into her reborn form, just as Eren was reborn in his Titan form.
So
It might be a rebirth imagery.
I'm looking at the image now though from the scene, and I'm like 90% sure that's a piece of Titan flesh.
Well, then throw my answer out the window.
I would not have come up with any of those, so all good answers. Josh, how did you find it?
I searched on Google Attack on Titan pomegranate, and then
Okay.
it linked, and then I found a Reddit site where they're talking about it, and someone else said, no, it's a piece of Titan flesh. So, I mean, granted, that's not proof that it is. It could be a pomegranate, but I don't know.
I think
don't
that's totally pomegranate. That's just me though.
Hey, someone on the internet said it.
Gotta be true.
Some guy in the comments always knows the answer.
That has been true more often than not in my experience. like there might be 90,000 people who are wrong, but at least one guy's got his act together. So
I just stumbled upon a picture of Eren in Titan form attacking Ava Unit 1.
oh, let's not even go there.
Nope. We will get there one day.
Speaking of Mikasa, I have two things for her, or two questions about her. I'm going to start off with the short answer. Where does she get all the lip gloss? Because every scene she has just got the shiniest lips ever. I'm telling you. It's after I don't even know if she did it as a kid, but when they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a scout now," she's like rocking the lip gloss, and I don't know where you got it when people can't when they can't grow enough food. I don't know whose job it is to make lip gloss, but Mikasa's got a link to that guy. So
I'm just scrolling through the characters, and most of them, like, they barely even have lips drawn. And you're right, Mikasa's is just like, nope, I'm gonna focus on that.
yeah, she's got the lip gloss.
Huh.
So
Is that a artistic appeal to make you
We're not gonna go there. We're not gonna go there.
On her feminine nature rather than on a militaristic nature.
I thought you were going for side effect of the thing that Grisha gave her.
Oh.
Yes, having Titan-like abilities gives you rockin' lip balm.
Maybe it's natural. Maybe it's because she's a Titan.
Oh, okay. My second point is that so episode 3, Aaron's like, "Oh no, I'm gonna get kicked out of the Corps because I can't do Omni Gear," and everyone's like, "Well, tough break, Aaron." And then he does it, and they're like, "Oh, well, maybe his belt's broken." They're like, "Oh, yeah." So like when they check the belt and it's broken, and Keith, the drill sergeant, kind of makes the comment that this part's never broken before. This part, we don't check this part. Why is it broken? Because it doesn't break ever. And so he's kind of hinting at that it might be sabotage, and then they just go nowhere with that in the storyline. And so I'm wondering if Mikasa broke it, and like way down the line, they're gonna get to the very end, and they're like gonna be in this dire situation, and everyone they know is dying. And Aaron's gonna be like, I can't do this, I don't know why, he either like can't transform into a Titan again, or whatever's going on, and he's like, everyone's failing because of me, and Mikasa's like, that's why you should have gone home when I broke your belt. Like, I think that would add depth to Mikasa, that is apparently not here the second time watching through. I think that it reflects that everything she's doing is a desperate act. So, like, and it fits really well with this narrative that Grisha gave her these, like, Titan-like powers, that she's so strong, but she feels so helpless, and she feels desperate in everything that she does. So she broke Aaron's gear so that he would give up and go home, so that everyone else would think that he couldn't cut it, and that later down the road, she's just like, just give up, go home, and quit, and stuff like that, and that all these moments, like later when Trost gets broken into, she's like, this guy's giving her orders to go with the rear squad, and she's like, I've gotta be with Aaron, and then Aaron's like, no you don't, go listen to orders, that's what we're doing here. Like, that's why we joined the military, is to not attack this alone, which really doesn't go with Aaron's mindset. But anywho, it just shows Mikasa being desperate in that moment, because she's like, I'm going to disobey direct orders from a higher officer in a time of emergency because Aaron. Because I am desperately trying to keep this person alive. And so I think that lends to the idea that she sabotaged this. I think she's the one who did it. And they're gonna find out way later, like when everyone's about to die. She's like, I just wish you would have went home. So
that's a lot better than my prediction. Because I did definitely get the sabotage vibe from that. The way Keith was talking about it. Mine has a lot less thought put into it. I really like that Mikasa is the one that sabotaged it. That, you're right, that does give her a lot more depth. My thought was that it was Keith himself, because he makes a comment, I think, as they graduate, that, what was the name?
Right after this incident where when they fix his belt, he says, Grisha, your son's finally becoming a soldier.
No, he says Carla, which is Aaron's mom.
Is it Carla?
Yeah.
Oh.
So that leads me to believe that, like, they're friends.
Well, that's my question.
He's known.
Who are they to him? Like,
yeah. So based on that, I'm thinking that they are old friends, and he was trying to prevent their son's death by forcing him out of the military, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense with him being surprised about it. But the way I made it make sense was Aaron was able to make it work with the broken gear, even for that split second, that maybe he changed his mind and, said that if he's this determined, then he has a shot out there. Maybe he can be the savior that we need. But I'm thinking that his original plan was, these guys used to be old friends, and I don't want to be the one that puts their kid on the front line just to die. So, like, he's already lost his friends. He doesn't want their kid to die too. So maybe that was why. That was my best guess. I definitely like your Mikasa one better, but the fact that he mentions the parents' name, I thought that was kind of weird, because, we don't get them together at all.
Yeah, they also never explain that link either, so that's fun.
Also, just side note on Keith. So he's the bald drill sergeant at the, for the training.
He's probably referred to as Shadis, his last name, so that's probably the more proper way to refer to him.
Okay, that's true. He was also the guy from the first episode when the scouts come back and they give the mother the arm of her son. Yeah, he's the guy with the full head of hair that drops to his knees and says that they didn't accomplish anything.
Which is pretty cold.
Yeah. But he used to be a scout, and he used to be that guy. So, the more you know.
The more you know.
So one other thing that I did like about the anime, though, was the design of the Titans. I really like that the writer, in an interview, he was talking about what the scariest thing was, like what the scariest animal, what the scariest force of nature was, and he was like, it's humanity. You know, there's nothing scarier than an intelligent being that you can't communicate with, like someone whenever they're in a drunken stupor or a drunken rage or what have you.
Or YouTube comments.
Or YouTube. There's nothing more terrifying than ourselves slightly off, which is one reason why I really like the design of Titans. I mean, it was something that was new and creative. Like, you look at Transformers, and it's always the good guys are, you know, the cars, the things that we're familiar with, where like the Decepticons are
planes,
giant,
usually planes.
Dinosaurs, you know, scary looking faces, like a scorpion, what have you.
Military equipment.
Hey,
right.
I watched the fourth movie. I know the dinosaurs were good guys.
If you haven't seen the fourth Transformers movie,
don't.
Yeah. Just let us spoil it for you. Don't worry. You didn't miss anything. Except for my Transformers now.
I'm sorry.
But back on Attack on Titan, that was something new that, you know, the human-like shape are evil. You can't trust them, kind of thing. So I really like that. And it's something that's, you know, even permeated Godzilla. They're taking that kind of approach to him now.
Right.
Not exactly the humanoid subject, but I mean like the art style of Attack on Titan. The new Godzilla that they're about to come out with in Japan, it's terrifying. And it's because it has elements from the Attack on Titan. I think one of the artists for the Attack on Titan manga is working on the Godzilla project, which is a big reason why. But just the effect that it's had is pretty cool. And I don't know, that's one thing I like about the anime.
A note on that, like, humanization of Godzilla in the Godzilla movie. It would be interesting if they could do that as a story, but, like, it tied into Attack on Titan. So, like, if Attack on Titan's world was our world in the future, so, like, they got, like, blasted back to Stone Age or something for some reason, if it wasn't because of a Godzilla moment that just became infectious. So they could make the Godzilla movie with Titans with modern equipment, which I guess they kind of did with the Attack on Titan movie.
I was gonna say, do you really want another live-action Attack on Titan movie?
I don't. It sounded cool, and the more I talked about it, the worse it got.
Just like the Attack on Titan
I'm like,
movie.
wait, they made this. It was never mind. I regret everything. Strike everything I said.
So things that we didn't like, the Attack on Titan movie.
Yes. And
how long it took them to come out with the next season of Attack on Titan.
I cover all that in part 2 on the soapbox.
Okay.
I had a couple things that I did like. Josh, you mentioned that, you know, like the humanness of the enemy is what you liked about it. I liked the fact that they just seemed so unbeatable. I don't know, I kind of got a, like, Independence Day type vibe from Attack on Titan, where, you know, you've got this, like, world-ending enemy, and then just this little tiny group of people, and they're gonna do everything they can to make it not happen. And I don't know, it's the literal guy, or the little guy versus the literal giant. And I really like the stories that it's like, okay, we don't have time to deal with anything else. We're all the same people. We're going to work together and do the best we can. And if we don't, we're going to die. So I really liked that, because it was like, yes, we have differences. We're not going to deal with those right now because we can't.
Who has time for racism in post-apocalyptic world?
Exactly.
Oh wait, people are terrible.
Well, yeah, but the ones that realize it, that's where the story comes from.
Yeah. Right.
I just had a prediction.
Okay.
Okay, so the racism thing that you just talked about, what if that's the reason that Titans exist? Like someone was attempting to create a unifier and it just went horribly wrong. That's why the Titans exist.
Okay, please don't make the story where anti-racism was what destroyed humanity.
Good point.
I
Good
mean,
point. No, I'm like, but just like a hypothetical, like, you have a much better theory that we're gonna get to here in just a little bit that I really like, but on why Titans exist, but in part 2.
yeah.
Okay, well, one other thing that I really liked, and I know Oliver, you really liked it too. In fact, you say it better than I do, so go for it. You know what I'm talking about.
Okay. Well, I like all of the gifable moments. So, like Mikasa shoving the bread into Aaron's face, that is a gifable moment. And then the one Jason's referring to is when Aaron is saving Mikasa from the sex traffickers. That he knocks on the door, and the guy's like, "Oh, what are you doing, little kid?" And he just stabs him, and he's like, "Oh, you're dead." And then when his partner realizes, "Oh, this guy dead," wow, that was good grammar. When his partner realizes, "Oh man, this little kid just killed this guy," you see Aaron's face, and it's the creepiest thing ever. It's just sliding behind the door. And just watching that moment, and like, when I discovered that the second time watching through, I just watched it like 6 times over. It's like, and I don't know why, but it makes me laugh so hard because it's just so terrifyingly creepy.
It really does, and it's so short that if you look down for half a second, you're gonna miss it. In fact,
Yeah.
when I watched the show the first time, I didn't see it, and then Oliver mentioned it, so I had to go back and find it.
So
And
funny.
It is so good. If you have the time, go back and find it. It's great.
He's like, "Oh man, he just killed the guy." He's like, "I'm gonna kill you." That's what's happening. Oh, it's great. There's so many gifable moments from this show, and it's interesting that you're able to derive humor from them when this is not a humorous show.
Oh yeah, no, that was not a funny moment.
No, it
But-
was not a funny moment. I think that's it for part 1. We're gonna call it here and resume it in part 2.
As you just heard the younger, more naive me who trusts in recording software mention, this is the portion of the original recording that was salvaged. It begins with me talking about my frustrations with the production schedule that the creators of Attack on Titan have decided to embrace, so without further delay, enjoy.
A live action movie, which I've heard is just awful. And then they have these OVAs that some of them are serious, some of them are not. And then I just don't know why, because now coming back to it, especially like if you're coming back to watching it for a second time like we are, you know, especially if you're wanting to do that before the second season comes out, you're like, "Oh, I gotta refresh myself." And then you watch it and you're like, "Wow, Mikasa's really fallen flat." And like that initial love is just not as strong anymore, and now things like Sword Art Online have come out. Oh wow, I said that weird. Sword Art Online have come out, and One Punch Man, and other things that have kind of gotten that wave of attention that Attack on Titan had, and you know, things like Excel World and all over the place. There's a bunch of great anime that came out right after this did, and it could have had the spotlight for so much longer, even in the midst of these great anime, if they just kept going with what they already had. But then they're like, "No, we're gonna drag this out. We're gonna throw in some movies. We're gonna throw in some OVA," and I feel like it just really killed the momentum that they had going. And if they could have just kept going, then, like, even if they just took a year off, I think 3 years is just way too long.
Sure. What I was going to say is the manga, whenever Attack on Titan came out, so 2013 I think the year was, the manga, it was the first time in 5 years that a manga outsold One Piece, which had been the #1 selling manga, and Attack on Titan outsold it by 4 million copies.
Oh man, it was
Like-
so big.
It was huge, and then they just, like, let it fall.
Yeah,
Like the walls.
and the strange thing here is that when the first season finished, they were probably, I think, 2/3 of the way in terms of manga of having enough content for the second season of Attack on Titan. If they weren't done with it already, they were close.
Right.
And so they could have definitely have started on it, if not just had it shortly afterwards. And I just don't know. I guess the people who were involved with creating it decided they had some other shows to make, some other things to do. I don't know what's behind that creative decision. I haven't done enough research into that, but it feels like a mistake to me.
in all honesty, what I think happened is they, in their heads, were thinking, okay, we need to let ourselves get some more source material, because one of the things that everyone loved about Attack on Titan was the lack of fillers and how quickly the story pace moved along. Because, I mean, like, you moved along at a pretty breakneck pace where you're wanting to binge watch everything through. So they were thinking, okay, let's get ourselves some material, let the manga build up again, and while we do this, let's retell the story to a different kind of audience, and that's where they went with the movie. Well, once you've already spent, however many millions of dollars on this movie, you kind of got to see it through, and it just gets to that point where then it finally gets released, you have all the rewrites that you have to do for the script, and it finally gets released, and no one's nearly as stoked, and then on top of that, you've done changes to the movie, which all the stoked people going to see the movie are now like, oh my gosh, what's happened? And now, they've also, because I remember last year, in spring, they were saying, Attack on Titan's coming this summer. And another year goes by. It's still not out. Attack on Titan's coming this spring. This spring has come and gone. It's still not out. It's coming out this fall. So
I heard next summer.
Oh gosh.
The thing about the movie is that I've heard that it's gone so far away from where the manga was.
Right.
That it's the same premise, but it's just a different story, and I just feel like that really hurts it, because the story is very compelling, especially the first time you see it. And just to give you like a picture of how big Attack on Titan was when it came out, it was in car commercials that were played during the Super Bowl. Like, I can't even think of another anime that has had close to that much pervasiveness in society.
Yeah, unfortunately, they kept the cars from the commercials in the movie.
That's right. Oh.
Not those actual cars, but they did have cars. And RPGs, and so much other stuff that they weren't supposed to have. They were missing half of their characters.
I gotta say that Attack on Titan has made a little bit of a lasting impact, though, because so I'm a huge fan of Godzilla, but the new Godzilla movie, they haven't had one for like 10 years, a Japanese Godzilla movie, that is.
Gotcha.
Last one was in 2004, so I guess 12 years now, and the next one doesn't come out until 2017, I don't think. But the new style that they've chosen to go with how they're making Godzilla is based off of Attack on Titan imagery. So it's extremely disturbing to look at and frankly terrifying. But it is kind of cool that Attack on Titan has made a lasting impact that's going to last several years, because Godzilla doesn't get that many reworks.
I mean, yeah, that should be an indication of just how prevalent and impactful this anime has been. I mean, because Godzilla is classic. And just the fact that they're even retooling it to reflect the success of Attack on Titan just speaks volumes to it. It really is something special. I just feel like it's a shame with how they've treated it in the timeline of their release.
For sure.
That's just... I'll get off my soapbox.
That's okay. You basically covered everything I didn't like about this movie. Or about this anime. I made some notes before we started this. Let's see what I have. Season 2 isn't out yet. Season 3 hasn't started yet. They made a live-action movie, and they're making another one. And then the only thing that we haven't covered that I didn't like was Aaron's mother's death scene. And it wasn't that I didn't like it, it's just it made me cry, and I don't like it when anime can do that to me when I didn't want it to.
I have that I really do not like Armin's Japanese voice actor. I think it makes him sound like a little kid. I think it makes him sound whiny. So, anywho, that's just me.
Do you like his English voice actor?
Better than his Japanese one.
Okay, I haven't heard the Japanese one, so all I've got is the English one to go by.
I was gonna say, you better like him because he's the voice actor for Sword Art Online and Fate and...
Wait, who is?
The voice actor that plays Aaron.
Oh, no.
We're talking about Armin.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
No, Aaron's voice actor's great. He's in everything, though. And he doesn't change. He doesn't even try to hide that he's the same person. They all sound the same, but it's okay.
Every once in a while, I'll hear Kirito on Attack on Titan or Aaron on SAO. And usually when Aaron shows up on SAO, it's when Kirito's angry.
It's funny though, let me get the character. He's on Squad Levi. You guys will help me. Who's Edward Elric? Is that Luke? Is that his name?
I don't know.
Oh no, it's Eld. It's Eld. Eld Jin. So Eld Jin in Attack on Titan, he's another one of those voice actors. He plays a lot of people and his voice is very similar on those characters, but it's like this weird game of Guess Who, because I never know it's him until he yells. Until he starts yelling, and I'm like, that's Edward Elric. which is from Fullmetal Alchemist, which is another wonderful anime that has just helped define our generation of anime watchers that we will certainly get to in the future. I'm getting on a tangent here. I like L. Jin's voice actor. He's in a lot of good stuff.
Also, side note that's on that, Petra's voice actor was the same one that did Winry. She didn't change her voice at all. And Winry is a character from Fullmetal Alchemist. She's one of Ed's friends. So
if you're listening and you're like, what are you talking about? What's this show? We're getting there, and we'll watch it, and we'll have a great time. Is that all you guys have for now, or?
No, I've got a little bit more. Let me check through my notes first.
Go for it.
Oh, okay, so one thing that Choppa wanted me to mention, has Choppa been on here yet?
You know, I don't know. I don't
think he has.
No.
Was he on the Death Note one?
No.
No.
Then no.
Okay,
All right,
Choppa's going to be one of our hosts, hopefully. If not, this is one of my random roommate's friend ideas. Okay, so when
Best
Aaron
introduction ever.
Yeah. Anyway, when Aaron transforms to shield Mikasa and Armin from the cannonball, he just gets that partial transformation and then breaks out quickly, and as it's falling and there's dust everywhere, Armin makes a 2-second comment right before he goes out and pleads their case that there's flowers there that weren't there before. And it's never addressed again, and I just I have no clue where to even begin with that.
I don't know. I didn't even think about that. I honestly completely forgot about it.
Right, it's not something that I can even connect to something else from something that Aaron does later or something that Andy does. I have no idea what how it could create flowers, or no idea at all.
It seems significant, and now that you mention it, I want to go and rewatch it and be like, okay, what were the flowers that were around Mikasa's house and stuff like that? Because that just seems super significant.
It does, and I thought that they were going to bring it back up by the end of the season, and they never did. So I'm thinking that it's either going to be something that they never touch again, they completely forget about, or it'll have to do with a Titan ability later.
Okay.
I don't.
Theory: what if that's what's in the basement? Is he's growing a bunch of these flowers, and that's what gives the people the ability to Titan transform?
Could be. No idea. I'm just surprised that they never showed up anywhere else, or at least I didn't notice them. We could go back and rewatch when he tries to pick up the spoon and see if they're just around him, because I don't think anyone made a comment, but I wouldn't be surprised if the artist just drew them in there around the base of the partial Titan.
Well, the quick
go
side
for
note
it.
on that. The flowers thing. Whenever, to go off of Oliver's theory that the Titans are a good thing, kind of thing, I was originally thinking that, this was humanity's decision. Of course, again, I'm a zoology major, so, worldwide environmental stuff is kind of a big thing to me. But, I was thinking, this was humanity's solution towards all of the pollution. But then I remembered, no, they're not far enough along in humanity, because this is, 16th century technology that they've got.
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually brings me to my last major point. What do you guys think is Beyond the Walls?
So it's based on the ethnicity of the characters and their names. They hint at that this is set it's somewhere in Europe.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have French names, and they have stuff like that. And there's a lot of blonde-haired people. There's a lot of blue-eyed people. Really, Mikasa and maybe Levi are the only people who are potentially of Japanese descent.
Didn't they say the?
They mentioned that when they killed her mom. Yeah, that was rare. So it's fairly certain they're in Europe, right?
Right.
Assuming that they're in our world, yes.
Yeah.
They could be in their own world where
that's fair.
Our races don't mean anything.
That's fair. That's fair. So they're in some. Okay, what if it's just localized to their area? What if the rest of the world exists and whatever? Well, this is back onto the Titans are good guys situation. What if whatever was up in whatever their situation is there was so terrible that the rest of the world kind of just left the Titans there? And there are actual people in Australia and the Americas and stuff like that,
What if there's a fourth wall keeping the Titans in?
Whoa! Whoa! You just blew my mind. I never even considered that.
Yeah, Oliver and I were just using water barriers. Josh just put up another wall. Oh my gosh. That's great.
What happens when they break the fourth wall. Oh man. Okay, so that is an extremely fascinating idea. I never even thought to consider that.
So my idea with other walls was, definitely less cool than that, but I was thinking that there might be other places like theirs, other small enclosures that different groups of humans, like, I don't want to say built because the walls are supposed to have been, like, put up randomly, but I'm thinking that, like, they're not the only section of humans left. Like, that there's several other cattle pens, as Aaron calls them,
Sure.
that are out there, and they just they're too far away to have any contact. So as far as any one of them is concerned, they're the only ones left.
Yeah.
I agree.
That was just an idea. I do really like Josh's fourth wall idea. That's awesome.
Can we title that "Breaking the Fourth Wall"?
That's what you're going to title this episode, right?
Sure. Here, let's do that.
Okay. Okay, so now I can tell you my theory, which is not going to be as cool anymore, but I'm still going to go with it. This is what I thought the first time I watched it, so I don't know if any of this is broken anymore, but I'm just going to go for it. I was thinking that, and I have nothing to base this on, it was just one night, couldn't go to sleep, and I was like, what if this was the case? That'd be kind of cool. So I'm thinking that Attack on Titan is set in the future, and so if you go far enough beyond the walls, and I'm thinking like farther than they could get with just horses, so like the scouts wouldn't be anywhere near the place I'm talking about, but once you get that far out, you'd be able to find remnants of a society that resembles our own, or a society that's further advanced than ours. And so like the Titan outbreak happened, and that led humanity to go behind these walls, and then for whatever reason the government prevented their technology growth. If it was just to keep them from wanting to go outside the walls, maybe, I don't know. If I were the government, I was trying to keep the people in. I don't think the scouts would be the way that the scouts are perceived right now. I feel like the government can let them go out and die, and just, who cares? They're not going to motivate people. But like if you had let the people that are inside the walls build and become more advanced, maybe they would come up with something other than grappling hooks and swords. I don't know. Just an idea that's why they're still in the walls. Not sure, but I was thinking that it would be really cool if they did get far enough outside and they just like stumble upon a New York style city that's just covered in moss, and Titans are like peeking behind skyscrapers or something. Because didn't they say that they'd been inside the walls for like a little over 100 years?
100 years.
Right.
Okay, another theory, just off the top of my head. What if it was a defense maneuver? So what if 100 years ago, the country that they live in was being invaded, and they developed this secret serum that turned people into Titans, and as like a last-ditch resort, they like did a covert ops and put it in the water in the area surrounding in their country to keep the invading force out from there. And so now they basically turned a good number of their population into into Titans to prevent the rest of the centralized government from being overtaken. And so now the Annie's group of people are people who figured out that covert ops and want to basically make the people pay for having sacrificed the rest of the nation for that.
That makes... Okay, so here's the thing that I've been struggling with, like, on any of my theories, is the Titans' sole goal is to consume humans, not for nutritional value or anything like that, but just to consume humans. Like, they leave all of the other nature and everything alone.
That would make total sense if they were a defense or a weapon.
Exactly. Yeah, they're a weapon designed to eat humans by humans. That's crazy.
And that's why, and so that could totally go with, like, either the rest of the world is more advanced than it was when they went in there, or whatever, but they basically locked themselves into this situation at that point, and the outside world hasn't advanced enough to the point to where they can fight through the Titans and get to the walls.
That, or they've just
or they're dead.
Yeah, or they're dead.
Or they're dead.
I was gonna say, or, like, what we would do, like, for example, a zombie situation. If you can't kill them, you trap them in, and then we just go back to the fourth wall. But
So, idea with the original concept of the Titans win. A big thing is like, what's in the basement? And I had this kind of like really cynical ending that I don't think they'd go with, but would be really interesting. It's not satisfying in any way whatsoever. But they plan this operation, the scouts do, to go and find out whatever's in this basement, right? And they've like they're at the final part. They got to Shingashina, and they've like sacrificed so many of their people, and they're still sacrificing them, and there's a dire situation. And they get to the basement, and they go downstairs, and it's like Mikasa, Levi, and Eren, and that's like it, and everyone else is like fighting upstairs, and they're like all dying and stuff like that. And then all that's on there is just a table with a note, and it says, if you got this far, you can fight back to save humanity. And then like the house gets crushed, and they all like die in the basement.
I thought you were about to say, and then there's just a note, and all it says is, see ya.
No, but the idea was that if you could fight through the 250
Right.
miles to get to here, you can save humanity. And then they're just like, where's our weapon?
Right.
and then they all die.
Oh.
Just because they're all banking on what's in the basement. I mean, really, when it's all said and done, it's what's in the basement is what they're banking on.
Yeah.
If that is the case, which I doubt it is, it is hilarious though. Grisha says that if Eren behaves, then he'd let him in on what he was working on in the basement. So that just means that like every evening, Grisha goes into the basement and sits there, stares at the note, and giggles to himself.
That also would imply, though, that he knew the attack was coming.
True.
True.
Because there was no reason for him to do that if he knew the attack. I don't know. It's not a likely ending, but it would be an interesting one.
Definitely.
Talk about death threats, though.
It's Evangelion all over again. Oh, I promise we'll get there. I'm sorry. I shouldn't forward reference ourselves.
I had one other point, but I don't know how to work it in. During the Trust Recovery Act, when Eren and Armin are on a team with Thomas, Mina, and two other guys that didn't get names, Thomas dies to the abnormal, and Eren goes off chasing after him, and then loses a leg and arm and gets eaten, and then dies, with air quotes, comes back in 4 episodes, and the last Titan that he takes out in his Titan form before he finally gives up was that abnormal that ate Thomas. So
Right.
he completed his mission. Like,
That is pretty
he
cool.
went out there to get the abnormal that killed Thomas, and that was what he did. That's the one that he bit the neck of and threw it around because he didn't have any arms. They'd already been ripped off. So he did it. He's determined.
I said I'd stop doing it, but I am seeing so many similarities between this show and Evangelion, which
Yeah.
does not bode well for its ending. But anywho, I'll let's move on. All right, that's it for our review of Attack on Titan Season 1. Next time, Josh has picked out a wonderful show for us. Would you like to share that, Josh?
Steins Gate.
Woo! It is incredibly
me to give,
popular. I have incredibly not seen it. Yeah, sure. Give us a synopsis or
So-
a preview summary.
Okay.
Also spell it so people can find it because it's weird and has a semicolon in the middle.
It's Steins. And once you type that far, you're probably going to see it pop up on Google's automatic search. But Steins and then semicolon Gate. Gate.
There's no apostrophe, and you can find it on Hulu, so it exists.
You can also find it on YouTube. Funimation has uploaded it as well. As far as what it is about, it is a time travel anime, so the first I think it's 10 episodes are going to be pretty slow, but that's because it's building up for something really amazing.
So stick with it.
That's basically the goal of the show. Once you get to a certain point, you're going to do nothing but binge watch through the rest of it, just like you did with Attack on Titan. As far as what it's about a time travel anime with real life conspiracies, talking about real companies and real theories. If anyone's ever heard of the name John Teeter, they discuss that a little bit, but it's beautifully crafted anime that has driving cast, pretty good character development, and a crazy scientist. So all the things that you could ever want in an anime.
Am I gonna have to read some papers about like theoretical physics for this?
You do not. But it does. So it
You
does
will.
mention the Large Hadron Collider that's run by CERN.
Oh, okay.
So like that is something
wow,
that
they like.
frequently. Yeah.
Wow.
So like there is some real science behind it. There's some real theories and stuff that they delve into. So that's pretty cool that they're engaging in real life stuff. But
I'm
it's
gonna
pretty good.
I'm gonna be honest. Judging on the name alone, I expected it to be some like undead magical fighting anime.
Nope.
Just kind of like, you know, Blue Exorcist or Soul Eater or something like that. That's totally where the realm I thought it was in. To know that it's about like physics and time travel this is going to be interesting. This is going to be good.
It's great. Again, stick with it, stick through it. It's going to be really slow. Like, I swear, cicadas, you're going to hate cicadas, but just bear through them.
And then watch Evangelion, and then you'll love cicadas.
I've seen the first 5 episodes, and unfortunately I did drop it, although Blake and Josh both tell me it's great, so I am going to go back and watch it. The first 5 are very, very dry. I had no idea what was going on, but do stick with it.
We're going to watch it, so you'll get
Don't make us do it alone.
Don't let us do it alone. Yeah, exactly. Misery loves company, and then hopefully it won't turn into misery, though. It's really highly rated, though, so I'm expecting a big payoff here.
Josh, is this one that Blake had mentioned where watching it in subbed is better because you need to read all of the text messages?
Yes. Yeah, I'm the one that made that point.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. In the Funimation versions, the dubbed does not give you the subtitles for the text messages, and one character pretty much only talks in text messages. So if you're wanting to watch dubbed, what I would recommend is you can watch the episode, but make sure you have the subbed episode also tabbed, and then whenever it gets to the point where they're texting back and forth, you can just quickly switch.
That's a good point to mention, because on Hulu it is only in dubbed, so you might want to do that Funimation reference on
and
YouTube.
they may have fixed it. I watched it on the Funimation YouTube channel.
Oh, okay. I also heard something about a banana.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I just heard banana.
Bananas are wonderfully important and nice and squishy.
Alright, so that's Steins Gate in a nutshell. Time travel, Hadron Collider, physics, bananas. Good to go.
Yep.
Alright, so we're going to cover Steins Gate next time. Is it 26 episodes? 13?
I believe it's 24 episodes. It also has an extra 25th episode, it's decent, and then it also has a movie. But you only need to watch 24 episodes to, say that you've watched it.
Okay, so
Episode 25 is, yeah.
We're gonna cover the anime series, so that'll work. So join us for that next time. For right now, we're gonna move on to our topic. Every week we pick a different topic relating to anime and give you our thoughts. So this week we'll be discussing what counts as anime. The official definition is that it's only shows that are created in Japan. So what do you guys think? Is that an accurate definition? Is that how it should be described? Should it be more loosely defined? Give me your thoughts. As a jumping off point, the kind of shows that people contest as could be considered anime but aren't made in Japan are things like Avatar: The Last Airbender, Ruby, which is made by Rooster Teeth, stuff like that. So it's made in the same spirit, but it's not necessarily the same style.
Sure.
Okay, so the definition I found for anime was a style of Japanese film and television animation typically aimed at adults as well as children. To me, I heard that smirk.
Adults as well as children. Oh, you mean literally everybody.
Yep. Yeah, so to me, it's a style of Japanese film and television. So to me, that means that anime has to be Japanese. So I personally do not consider Avatar: The Last Airbender or Ruby anime. I consider them anime inspired, which is basically a category that they made themselves. But I feel like the term anime is innately Japanese, and you can have something that resembles it, but it is not anime because saying a Japanese anime is redundant. The term anime encompasses the Japanese part of that. So if you wanted to say an American anime, that's saying an American Japanese television show or animated television show, and that doesn't quite make sense. So I prefer the anime is anything for Japanese made and anime inspired with, if you want to tack on the origin of it, that's fine. But that's personally how I do things.
I do really like your designation there of anime inspired. I think that is very helpful because I think The Last Airbender is definitely not anime. I think the spirit of the show in terms of how the characters act and their motivations, I think that's really I don't want to say westernized, but it's very much like, it was created in America by an American company. It very much reflects the value and how people in that culture would react to things. So I think it's not anime, and I think, like you said, that distinction of anime inspired, because it does have a lot of kind of ideas and concepts around it that are anime inspired, but it doesn't have a lot of the tropes that you find with anime, but it does it does have some as well. So I think that's a good point. RWBY, I personally haven't seen it, so I'm not really one to weigh in there. That is created by Rooster Teeth, though, and I believe they're in California. I'm not 100% sure, but
I think they are too.
That just seems like a safe bet. But what I'm kind of interested in, though, is the conceptual idea of, say, like Studio Ghibli, who is 100% assuredly they create anime. They create anime movies. They're a huge anime company. Now, let's say just as a thought experiment that for whatever reason, all of the people who work there decided to move to Los Angeles or Paris or wherever, somewhere that's not Japan, and they kept all the same staff and they did everything the same. Like, is that anime?
In your thought experiment, did you keep all of the original workers, all of the Japanese workers?
Yeah, so that's where I'm starting.
Okay, so you haven't outsourced yet.
No. So there are well, but that's the thing though, is that there are anime studios in Japan that hire people who are not Japanese. So I mean, it's not
right. No, I wasn't. Sorry, I wasn't trying to put that on there. I was saying that at least they kept like some. They didn't keep the Japanese location, but they kept all of their original workers that were either Japanese or hired in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
So, they kept essentially like half of it. They didn't have the location, but they had all of the inside, I guess.
Right. Well, then I wanted to pull a Ship of Theseus for all of you.
Okay, that's on my notes. You don't get that one.
For all of you anime nerds, or philosophy nerds, don't worry, that's not an insult, we're all nerds. I am one of those said philosophy nerds. But if you took Studio Ghibli, moved it to Paris, and then just replaced them with highly trained let's just for the sake of argument say non-Japanese people, but who were skilled in the same kind of artistic style, just like, say, there's a studio in Japan that hired someone from England or Italy or wherever that had trained themselves in the artistic style and storytelling of anime. If they hired that said person in their exclusively Paris location now, and then slowly you kind of work that out, like, is that still anime?
You could also change that a little bit to just over time, like, if Studio Ghibli moves to Paris and then a generation passes, so they train all of these people from Paris that will then take over. Once the last original member leaves, are they still a Japanese company or not? That's what you're asking, right?
Well, I'm wondering if at what point is what they produce not anime anymore. Because you look at something like The Last Airbender, where it's an American company hired by American people. Well, I presume I don't know the inner workings of the studio that created them.
I was thinking the original creators were Japanese.
That's highly possible. So, but even if you look at it like that,
right,
it still has a distinct feel that is not anime. And that's not a diss on the show. It's a great show, and it's well worth the watch. I mean, goodness, I binge watched that in a week. It's a great show, but I don't think it counts as anime. And so I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you have something like a Studio Ghibli in, let's just continue with my example, Paris, I don't see anything that precludes that from happening or keeps that from being anime. So I think the current definition of it has to be from Japan isn't necessarily 100%, like that's not an ironclad has to be this way kind of thing, but I haven't seen anything that disproves that either. Like, I don't think there is anything that is existing now or has existed up until this point that has produced anime that hasn't been from Japan.
You guys skirted around the point that I was going to make. You said it specifically that it's an artistic style. So what I get in my head whenever I think of anime is the way that it's drawn, the way that it's performed, the plot, all of the jazz that you think of whenever you think of anime. I'm not thinking of the location of where it's made or who's making it. I'm thinking of that procedure, that style of the artwork, of the plot. So with a counterexample, there's a type of theater popular in Japan called
Kabuki. Yeah.
Could an American producer create Kabuki?
And that's just, I think that's part of the thing is that, and this actually gets, I think maybe we're getting into a bigger issue, is that, because Kabuki is so tied to, like, it's a cultural thing,
Right,
you know?
right.
It's
Also true.
It's derived from Japanese culture. It's a feature of Japanese culture, and
Right.
this discussion doesn't have to necessarily be limited to Japanese culture, but really any culture. Can you have that
Someone
culture
else.
being practiced outside of its native area with people who aren't from that culture? Like, is that possible? And
Okay, so that's going to get into another point. Okay, so someone from America, are you saying that they could or could not produce Kabuki?
I think that's the question, is that,
Okay.
but, so my question, I guess, would be, is, I don't see any reason why it couldn't be done, but when I'm
Right, it
trying
just
to
hasn't.
think of, has it been done ever, anywhere, under any circumstances, has anyone successfully transplanted a culture without any of its original practitioners?
Right.
That's, yeah.
I was going to say then,
Or changing it in some way.
I was going to say then dreadlocks, which are another cultural trend from another culture, which have migrated and are now, being used by other people here in America. I don't know. To me, it's not so much, and honestly, I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate at this point, but like, to me, it's not nearly as much about the location as it is the style that's being produced. So while Avatar may not be anime in the traditional sense that it's not engaging the culture, it's still has that artistic style, because anime, whenever it gets down to the point, is an art form, and art forms can be replicated by other people. Van Gogh's painting style can be studied and it can be remade by another person in the same style sense. It's not going to be a Van Gogh, it's not going to be the same painting, but it can still be in the same style format. So I guess that's kind of what I'm driving home with, as far as anime's origins.
So you're kind of saying, like, it's not a Monet, it's not a Rembrandt, but it's still an impressionist painting.
Right.
Right. It kind of sounds to me like, though, that your definition places Avatar as anime.
Kind of. I mean, like, again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't think that Avatar is an anime, but I can understand why some people would feel that it is, just because, I mean, it comes down to what are you defining anime? At which point is a show a cartoon versus it's an anime? If Japan were to go and make an episode of The Simpsons, is Simpsons a cartoon or an anime now? Does that one episode of The Simpsons automatically become an anime?
Now that's another interesting feature that now you're reversing the topic, is can you make non-anime cartoons in Japan? Is that a thing?
I don't know. I feel like it is, but then if you read their definition, it's television anime.
But I mean, you can look at certain things that have a lot of the feel of anime, and they were created in Japan, and they were created by Japanese studios, but the style of their arting, while like Avatar is anime inspired, they might have French inspired animation styles. So that's another entry, but those things are considered anime. But my pushback, backing up a little on Josh's point that Avatar might be considered to some people anime, I would say that it lacks, at least from an artistic standpoint, let's not talk about like, plot or character development or anything like that.
Sure.
At least from an artistic standpoint, it lacks a lot of the key features, like how they draw the eyes, the shape of the face, the shape of the body that they typically give people. That is a much more westernized or a much more Americanized cartoon
Sure.
feel.
Sure.
So at least in an artistic sense, I think they've given up enough of the anime style to that's probably what I think precludes it the most from being an anime.
I agree.
Okay, I would agree with that. I feel like if you just made it, if you made Avatar the same way that an anime would be made, then it would be closer to an anime. But like the fact that they changed so many small things about it, just to me it doesn't feel the same, and that's why I don't classify it as anime. But I don't think that just because the people that made it are not Japanese, wouldn't classify it as anime.
Going
You know
back,
what we need?
what?
Sorry, go ahead, Oliver.
Oh, I was gonna say Avatar. I think really illustrates the kind of the gray area where the ship of Theseus. And quick explanation, if you're not familiar with the ship of Theseus, I know I've mentioned it a couple times, is that you have a ship and you're slowly replacing it plank by plank. At what point is it not the original ship? Because you can replace all the planks in the ship, and then you're like, oh, this is a new ship, because none of the planks that were originally there were there. And then, but the people who work on it and live on it and make their living on it still call it the ship of Theseus. The captain's still the captain of that ship. And then you can also take all the other broken planks that you discarded over the years and build another ship. So there's two ships now. Which one's the real ship? And so the idea is that you're slowly replacing a little bit at a time, and like Jason said, little bits of the anime style have been given up in different areas of Avatar to where it's reached the point at some point where you said this isn't an anime anymore. And I think Avatar's a really good example of being really close to that line. Because that's the hard part about the ship of Theseus, is finding out where that line is. Avatar does a really good job of getting close to that line, but it's just on the wrong side of it. So
At least in our opinions.
well, yeah. I guess that is up for debate.
I was gonna say, you know what we really need, guys?
What?
We need to
Someone
go to
that's seen
Japan.
Ruby?
Oh, no, that too. I was gonna say, we need to go to Japan where, they're gonna have a bit more leeway and authority on what anime is.
If we ever become well known enough, sure, we'll go
I was
talk
gonna
to
say,
Studio
yeah.
Ghibli. We'll go talk to a bunch of different studios and say, what do you consider anime to be? That would be great.
Can we set up a GoFundMe on this Senpai Noodles broadcast?
Maybe in the
Sure, I just
future.
set one up. It's send Senpai Noodles to Japan.
Maybe in the future.
Thanks, guys.
Oh. Okay, well, you just doubled down on our work, because not only do we have to become well known enough here to have people want to send us to Japan, we have to get well known enough in Japan to where the people who work in these studios are actually going to want to talk to us.
So you know
What are
what
you
that
talking about? We get to go to Japan anyway.
You know what that means, though?
What's that?
To all the listeners, we need your help. So make sure to share the broadcast so that we can go to Japan.
I think episode 3 is a little early to start asking people for money. I'm just going to be glad if anyone listens. I mean, if you're out there and you're listening, we just appreciate you just for being here. So thank you so much. Josh is trying to take your money. But
And Oliver and I are just surprised that you made it this far.
yeah. But so tracking back to our topic, though, I don't see anything that could preclude something that is anime coming from not Japan. And much like a lot of other cultural things, I don't see anything logically that precludes people from practicing kabuki or any other number of things that are, celebrating some holiday that I can't think of right now. That I don't see anything logically that precludes you from doing that. I just don't know that it's ever been done. And if that's the case, is the question, can it ever be done? Because it just hasn't up until this point. That doesn't mean it can't be done. But what if there's something else that's just so hard to pinpoint that makes it impossible? I don't know. I think it'd be interesting to try it. I think it'd be interesting to see someone try to produce something that is more in line with traditional anime from a studio that's not centered in Japan. I think that would be interesting. So that's all I've got. Any other final thoughts? Closing thoughts?
I like how we don't actually answer any of our questions. We just kind of say things that we think about and hope that people answer in the comments.
Jason, you can't point it out. They're on to us now.
I was about to say, man,
That's
I
what
feel like a
editing's for.
politician.
Alright, well, we're just gonna call it here. That's it for this episode of Senpai Noodles. Next episode, we'll be discussing Steins Gate, so be sure to watch it and tune in. Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please be sure to leave us a review on the iTunes Store. And if you're watching on YouTube, please be sure to give us a like and leave us a comment. And no matter where you're hearing us, please be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any more anime goodness.
Our intro and outro is Press Start by Morgan David King. Be sure to check in the description for more links to great music.
You can also email us with your comments and questions at podcast@senpainoodles.com. Just tell us what shows you'd like to hear us review, topics you want us to discuss, or just say hi. Also check out our website, senpainoodles.com, where you can find all of our episodes and anything else we feel like throwing up there. And until next time, happy watching, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
Okay, but seriously, the identity of the Colossal Titan, the Armored Titan, are...
I was about to hang up the call right then and there.